Captain Jace stepped off the shuttle onto the busy spaceport of Nerath Prime. Ships of every shape and size hovered and landed, while aliens of all kinds hurried across the wide platforms. Some carried goods, others traded or argued loudly in languages Jace could not understand. He adjusted his jacket and took a deep breath. This was his first stop in weeks, and he hoped for a quiet day delivering human technology to a trading hub. But quiet did not come. His eyes were immediately drawn to someone moving through the crowd like she belonged to another world entirely. She was tall, with glowing amber eyes that reflected the bright sunlight streaming through the port's domed roof. Her hair shimmered like silver threads in the air, falling past her shoulders. Every head turned as she walked, but she moved as if she did not notice. Jace felt his heart skip a beat. He had met many aliens in his travels, but none looked like her. Her skin had a faint, pearlescent glow, and the long, elegant fingers of her hands moved with grace and confidence. She wore a flowing garment that seemed alive, changing color with her movements. He did not know her name yet, but the moment he saw her, he knew he had to meet her. As he took a careful step forward, a sudden shout caught his attention. A group of 3 rough-looking aliens blocked her path. They were shorter, but strong, and their faces were twisted with anger. One of them grabbed at her arm. "Hey, let her go!" Jace shouted, stepping between them. The aliens laughed. "Mind your business, human," one said in a harsh tone. "She is for us." Jace felt his chest tighten. He could see that she was scared, though she tried to hide it. He acted quickly, remembering the techniques he had used many times in his training. He dodged the first grab and spun, using the momentum to knock one of them off balance. Then, he grabbed a nearby metal crate and pushed it toward the remaining 2, giving them pause. The stunning alien girl did not run. Instead, she stepped back slightly, watching him with wide, curious eyes. Jace could see now that she was young, maybe only a little older than him, though her alien features made it hard to tell. Finally, the group muttered curses and ran off into the crowd, leaving Jace standing there, breathing hard. The girl looked at him, her glowing eyes full of something he could not immediately name. Relief? Admiration? Curiosity? "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice a little rough from running and shouting. She nodded slowly. I am fine, thank you." Her voice was melodic, soft, and completely unlike anything Jace had heard before. "I'm Captain Jace," he said, holding out his hand in a gesture he hoped was universal. She hesitated for a moment, then placed her delicate hand in his. "I am Lyria," she said. Her grip was surprisingly firm. Jace smiled. "Lyria, that's a beautiful name." She tilted her head slightly, as if considering what he said. "You humans are bold." "I've been told that before," Jace said, laughing lightly. He felt a strange pull toward her. She was not just beautiful. There was intelligence in her eyes, a spark of something daring. They walked together toward the quieter section of the spaceport. Jace noticed that she moved with confidence, even after the attack. "You handled that well," he said. "I wasn't sure you'd just stand there." Lyria looked down, brushing a strand of shimmering hair behind her ear. "I did not stand. I assessed. Then I waited." Her eyes flicked toward him. "You act quickly but recklessly." Jace grinned. "Reckless is sometimes necessary." They reached a small cafe tucked under a dome of glass and metal. The smell of roasted spices and alien foods filled the air. Lyria glanced at the menu, though she seemed more interested in Jace than the food. "You are far from your home world," she said, speaking quietly so others could not hear. "I am," Jace admitted. "Delivering some human tech to the trading hub here. And you? What brings you to this busy place?" "I am on duty," she said. "My father is a diplomat. I must oversee a negotiation today." She paused, looking out at the crowded port. But I did not expect this. She gestured subtly toward him. Jace laughed softly. Not every day a human stands up to 3 tough aliens, huh? Lyria smiled faintly, her glowing eyes meeting his. No, not every day. You are different from the others I have seen. Her words made Jace's chest tighten in a way he did not expect. Different. Not for bad reasons, he hoped. He decided to take a small risk. I have a question, he said, looking at her carefully. Something humans sometimes do when they like someone. Lyria tilted her head. What is it? Jace hesitated a second, feeling a strange courage rise inside him. If I kissed you, how would you react? The question hung in the air. Lyria blinked, her eyes widening slightly. She did not look angry or offended, only surprised. Her fingers twitched slightly, and she studied him with an intensity that made Jace swallow. After a long pause, she spoke. You are brave to ask that. Her voice was soft, thoughtful. But your kind is strange. You take risks for feelings you barely understand. Jace chuckled nervously. I guess I am strange, then. Lyria's lips curved in a faint, enigmatic smile. Perhaps, but I am curious. Human bravery and curiosity, they are rare. Jace's heart raced. That was more than he expected. He had not thought she would understand, much less admit curiosity. The spaceport continued around them, full of chaos and noise, but for Jace and Lyria, it felt like the world had narrowed to just the two of them. Something had sparked. Something new, dangerous, and thrilling. For the first time in a long journey, Jace felt like he was not alone in the galaxy. He had no idea what the future held, but he knew this encounter with Lyria would change everything. And deep inside, he felt a quiet hope that her answer, whatever it truly was, might not leave him speechless. After their brief encounter at the spaceport, Jace could not stop thinking about Lyria. Her glowing eyes, her graceful movements, and the faint smile she had given him haunted his thoughts. He had faced dangerous missions and alien threats, but nothing had felt like the spark he felt when she looked at him. Meanwhile, Lyria returned to her quarters in the embassy complex. She was quiet, thoughtful, and unusually restless. Her people were trained to control emotions and maintain composure, but something about the human, his boldness, his honesty, disturbed her careful balance. She had met many aliens from across the galaxy, diplomats, traders, even adventurers, but none had approached her with such raw courage and curiosity. The next morning, Jace received a message from the embassy. To his surprise, it was Lyria herself, inviting him to meet her in a quiet garden within the embassy. She wanted to talk about what had happened yesterday. When he arrived, the garden seemed almost magical. Trees with crystal leaves shimmered in the soft light of artificial suns, and small pools of water reflected the sky above. Lyria was there, standing near a fountain that glowed faintly with alien energy. Captain Jace, she said softly, her glowing eyes studying him carefully. You came. I did, Jace said, stepping forward with a small smile. You asked me to meet you, not the other way around. Lyria's lips curved slightly. I am curious about humans. Your people act differently from us. Your emotions, your gestures, they are bold, strange yet fascinating. Jace nodded. I guess humans are like that. We feel a lot and we show it even when it is risky. Sometimes that surprises other species. She studied him for a moment. Your kind takes risks for things that are personal. Feelings, curiosity, even attraction. You act on them openly without caution. My people, we guard these emotions. We express interest differently. Sometimes with words, sometimes with gestures unknown to others. A kiss, for example, carries meaning far deeper than you might think. Jace's heart skipped. He remembered the question he had asked her yesterday, the one about the kiss. Now, in the quiet of this beautiful garden, her words carried weight. "Really?" he said, trying to hide his nervous excitement. "So it's not just a simple, hello?" Lyria shook her head, her hair shimmering slightly in the light. "No. It is a gesture of trust, commitment, and courage. For one of my people to kiss another, it is a bond, not a casual action. Humans, you are bold to even consider such things lightly." Jace chuckled nervously. "I guess that makes me even braver, huh?" She laughed softly, a sound like wind chimes. "Brave, yes. Foolish, perhaps. But there is honesty in your boldness. That is unusual. Most beings I meet act with caution, hiding their curiosity behind diplomacy and rules. You act first, think later." Jace leaned back against a glowing tree trunk. "I think sometimes it's better to be honest. You don't get many second chances in the galaxy." Lyria studied him again. "Honesty and bravery, they are powerful traits. I can see why other species respect humans, but your kind also has recklessness. I feel it now, in you. It is thrilling and dangerous." At the same time, for a moment they were silent, listening to the soft trickle of water from the fountain and the hum of alien energy around them. Jace felt a strange warmth in his chest, a mix of excitement, fear, and curiosity. Lyria felt something similar, though she tried to control it. "I have never met a human like you," she said finally. "You are not afraid to act, not afraid to ask questions, not afraid to show your feelings. That is rare." Jace smiled. "And I have never met an alien like you. You are fascinating, beautiful, strong, and, well, curious about me, I think." Lyria tilted her head, her glowing eyes reflecting the soft light of the garden. "Yes, I am curious. I do not fully understand your kind, your gestures, or your ways, but I am willing to learn. That is unusual for me." Jace took a careful step closer. "I can teach you if you want, about humans, about how we think, about feelings." She looked at him, her eyes wide, studying him carefully. "You speak of feelings as if they are a tool or weapon, but they are complicated. Humans act on them, yes, but they are also fragile. One must be careful." "I know," Jace said softly. "I don't want to hurt you. I want you to understand me, and I want to understand you." For the first time, Lyria felt a strong pull toward someone outside her species. The human before her was not just bold, he was sincere. He did not hide behind diplomacy, rules, or careful calculations. He acted from instinct, curiosity, and honesty. And somehow, that made her trust him in a way she had never trusted anyone before. "Captain Jace," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "Yesterday, you asked a bold question. About a kiss. You frightened me. Not because of the gesture itself, but because it is reckless for your kind. Yet, I felt curiosity and trust. That is rare. You have a spirit unlike most humans I have encountered." Jace's chest tightened. Her words made him feel alive, electric, and yet calm at the same time. He had not expected honesty like this from her, nor such understanding. "I guess humans are a little unpredictable," he said, laughing softly. "But I think you like a little unpredictability, too." Lyria's lips curved in a faint smile. "Perhaps I am intrigued, but I must learn more before I act. Curiosity is one thing, understanding is another. And I wish to understand you, Captain Jace." The moment lingered. Around them, The garden glowed softly, alien flowers pulsed with light, and the hum of energy was steady and comforting. The connection between human and alien was growing, not just attraction, but trust, curiosity, and mutual respect. For Jace, it was clear. Meeting Lyria was no accident. She was different, and that difference pulled at him in ways he had never felt before. And for Lyria, it was clear. Humans were more complicated, more daring, and more alive than she had imagined. And somewhere deep in both of them, a thought lingered. The bold question had opened a door neither had expected. The day passed slowly for Captain Jace, though he tried to keep busy. He delivered shipments of human technology to the trading hub, met with alien clients, and even repaired a minor issue with a cargo ship. Yet, in the back of his mind, his thoughts kept drifting to Lyria. Her glowing amber eyes, the way her hair shimmered in sunlight, and the faint smile she had given him lingered like a quiet melody he could not shake. Lyria, on her side, was equally restless. She wandered the halls of the embassy, her mind replaying every detail of their garden meeting. Humans were bold, unpredictable, and brave. But Jace had shown her something more. His honesty, his curiosity, his respect, all of it stirred feelings she had never experienced before. She had never met a human who dared to speak so openly, and the question he had asked, the one about a kiss, had haunted her thoughts. By evening, the embassy arranged a small gathering for visiting dignitaries. Jace received a polite invitation, though he suspected it was more for Lyria's sake than for any formal duty. As he entered the elegant hall, he spotted her immediately. She stood near the center, speaking quietly with another diplomat, her glowing eyes scanning the crowd. The moment she noticed him, she gave a small nod, acknowledging his presence without leaving her duty. During a lull in the conversation, Jace approached her. "You look stunning," he said softly, careful to keep his voice low. Lyria's lips curved in a faint smile. "And you look persistent." Her eyes twinkled, glowing faintly under the lights. "I did not expect to see you here." "I wanted to," Jace replied honestly. "I wanted to hear your thoughts about yesterday." Her gaze softened. She stepped aside, finding a quieter corner of the room. The hum of conversation continued around them, but for the moment it felt like they were alone. "You were bold to ask," she began, her voice low and melodic. "Most beings would never dare such a question. Some might consider it rude, but you were honest. That is unusual." Jace swallowed, feeling his heart beat faster. "I wanted to know. I wanted to understand you. I didn't mean to offend." Lyria studied him carefully. "You did not offend me. I am intrigued, but I must answer you carefully. For my people, a kiss is not just a gesture. It carries meaning, deep meaning, commitment, trust, courage. It is not given lightly, not to anyone. Humans, you act differently, but your intentions are clear. That is rare." Jace nodded slowly, absorbing her words. "I understand. I don't want to rush you. I just wanted to know how you feel." "Honestly," Lyria hesitated. She had never been in a situation like this. Diplomats' children were trained to maintain distance, to control curiosity, to avoid personal attachment. But Jace's presence, his sincerity, and his bravery made her feel something she could not name. She felt drawn to him, a pull that was equal parts curiosity and trust. "You are unlike anyone I have met," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am curious about you. I do not fully understand your kind, your emotions, or your gestures. But I feel drawn. That is rare for me. You must know that." Jace's chest tightened. Her words were more than he had hoped for. Not a yes, not a rejection, but something in between. A door slightly open, inviting him to step closer. "I feel the same," he said softly. "I don't fully understand your people either, but I feel connected. Something about you is unlike anyone else I've met. Brave, intelligent, honest, and curious. I like that." Lyria's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. She considered her answer carefully. "Captain Jace, if you were to kiss me, I would react with caution first, then curiosity. I would watch you closely, feel your intentions, and try to understand your spirit. That is how I react to strangers who act, boldly yet sincerely. My kind does not rush. We observe, then decide." Jace felt speechless, not because she refused, but because her answer was deeper, richer, and more thoughtful than anything he had expected. She was not just curious, she was cautious, wise, and perceptive. Her culture, her training, and her instincts all played a role in how she approached the gesture. "Caution and curiosity?" he repeated quietly, a small smile spreading across his face. "That's fair. That's perfect." Lyria tilted her head, studying him. "You are brave to accept that. Most humans would push forward without understanding. You respect my ways. That is unusual, and it makes me trust you." Jace's heart raced. Trust. That one word carried more weight than any kiss could. In the human way, it meant connection, respect, and vulnerability. And hearing it from her, an alien from a culture so different from his own, made him feel alive, hopeful, and profoundly connected. The night continued around them, diplomats and visitors moving past, but Jace and Lyria stayed in their quiet corner, talking in whispers. She asked questions about humans, about life on Earth, about courage and fear. He answered honestly, sometimes fumbling for words, sometimes laughing at her curiosity. They shared stories of adventure, survival, and dreams for the future. For the first time, Lyria felt a strange comfort with a human. She realized that bravery and honesty could cross cultures, languages, and even species. And for Jace, he realized that connection was not just about gestures, but about understanding, patience, and respect. By the end of the evening, they had learned something important about each other. Jace knew that Lyria's culture valued caution and trust above all else. Lyria knew that Jace's human courage and honesty were rare and precious. As they parted for the night, Lyria gave him a small, deliberate gesture. She touched his arm lightly, her glowing fingers warm against his jacket. It was a silent acknowledgement, a subtle signal of trust and curiosity. Jace felt a thrill. That touch, more than any words, told him that the connection between them was real. That her answer, her careful honesty, had not left him speechless, but had given him something far more important: hope. And deep inside, both of them knew this was only the beginning. Their journey together, of curiosity, trust, and courage, was just starting. The next morning, Jace was preparing to leave the embassy when an urgent alert flashed across his communicator. "Security breach," the message read. "All personnel, stay alert." He frowned and looked around. The normally quiet corridors of the embassy were now filled with tension. People hurried past, speaking in low, hurried voices in alien languages he did not understand. Jace immediately thought of Lyria. He had to make sure she was safe. Rushing through the halls, he spotted her near the central atrium. She looked calm, but her glowing eyes betrayed a hint of concern. "Captain Jace," she said quietly as he approached, "I anticipated trouble today, but I did not expect this." "What's happening?" he asked, scanning the area. "Mercenaries," she replied. "They aim to disrupt negotiations. They will take hostages if possible. My people are trained, but you should stay close. We need to move quickly." Jace nodded. "Lead the way." Lyria guided him through hidden corridors, stairways, and service lifts. She moved with the precision of someone trained for diplomacy and security, while Jace followed closely, relying on human reflexes and instincts to watch for danger. Suddenly, a group of heavily armed mercenaries blocked the exit from a stairwell. Their weapons glinted in the light, and their faces were masked by aggressive helmets. Jace's heart pounded, but he did not hesitate. "Stay behind me," he whispered to Lyria. She shook her head slightly. "We work together, Captain. Do not underestimate me." Jace smiled faintly. "Noted." The mercenaries charged. Jace rolled to the side, grabbing a metal pole from the floor and knocking one mercenary off balance. Lyria moved with a fluid grace, using a small device on her wrist to emit a blinding light, stunning another attacker. Their teamwork was immediate, seamless. Jace realized something important in that moment. Humans and aliens could work together in ways that neither species alone could. Lyria's intelligence, precision, and calm complemented his strength, courage, and quick thinking. They were a perfect team, even in the chaos of danger. The battle continued through the hallways. Jace dodged blaster fire, using crates and pillars for cover, while Lyria guided him and provided tactical advice. At one point, a mercenary aimed directly at her, and without thinking, Jace pushed her aside, taking the shot himself, but it missed narrowly. Lyria's eyes widened in surprise and concern. "You take risks too freely," she said, her voice tight with emotion. "I couldn't let you get hurt," Jace replied. "We're a team, remember?" Her gaze softened, though she did not answer. Immediately. The realization hit both of them. This shared danger had created a bond far stronger than any conversation could. Trust had become more than a word. It was action. Finally, they reached the embassy courtyard. The sunlight spilled in, but the mercenaries were closing in. Jace spotted a hover transport nearby, its doors wide and ready. "That's our way. Out!" he shouted. Lyria ran beside him, moving with speed and elegance. Together they leapt into the transport. Jace quickly activated the engines, and the craft rose into the air just as the mercenaries fired a last volley. Sparks flew, and a few blaster shots hit the hull, but the craft held. Inside the transport, they caught their breath. Lyria leaned against a panel, her glowing eyes meeting Jace's. "You are reckless," she said softly. "And you are fearless," he replied. "Together we're unstoppable." She gave him a faint smile. "Perhaps, but your courage, it is inspiring. You act without hesitation. That is rare for a human, and yet I feel safe with you." Jace felt a warmth in his chest. Safe. Trust. Connection. These were feelings he had never expected from an alien stranger. "I feel the same," he said. "I've never met anyone like you, Lyria. You're smart, brave, and incredible." For a long moment, they sat in silence, the hum of the transport filling the space. The danger outside had passed for now, but the bond they had formed in the midst of chaos remained. Jace realized that it wasn't just the adventure that had brought them closer. It was how they had faced it together, understanding each other without words, relying on instincts, respect, and courage. "You humans," Lyria began, her voice soft and thoughtful. "You are unpredictable, yet honest. You do not hide your feelings. That is remarkable. And your kind," Jace said, "is fascinating. You observe, analyze, and understand before you act. That's why I wanted to know how you'd react to something simple for humans, but important for your people." Lyria's glowing eyes flickered. "Yes, The question you asked about a kiss. I have considered it carefully, and I feel curiosity. I feel trust. That is rare. Your boldness is disarming. Jace smiled, feeling a quiet thrill. He had not expected her to admit it. Curiosity and trust, he said quietly. That's all I need. We'll see where it goes from there. The hover transport descended to a safe landing, pad on the edge of the city. The guards there were human and alien alike, waiting to secure the area. Jace and Lyria stepped out, both still catching their breath. You handled yourself well, Lyria said, her tone approving. I underestimated you before. Humans, you are capable of more than I imagined. And you, Jace replied, are incredible, not just for your people, but for me. I've never met anyone who could match wits and courage like you do. Her lips curved in a faint, enigmatic smile. Perhaps this adventure was meant to show us both something. That courage, trust, and curiosity are stronger than fear. Jace nodded. I think you're right. For the first time in his travels, Jace felt a true connection, not just admiration, but understanding and respect. And for Lyria, she realized that the human beside her was more than just a bold stranger. He was someone she could rely on, someone whose spirit matched her own in a way that defied distance, species, and culture. As they walked side by side toward the city's safe zone, the danger behind them, a quiet thought lingered in both their minds. The question about a kiss had not been answered fully yet, but now, after sharing an adventure that tested courage, trust, and instinct, that answer seemed closer than ever, and deep inside, both of them knew that whatever happened next, they would face it together. The city's safe zone was quiet now. The danger from the mercenaries had passed, leaving behind a sense of relief and exhaustion. Jace and Lyria walked slowly through the streets, their steps synchronized, neither wanting to break the fragile connection that had grown between them. Lyria's glowing eyes scanned the buildings around them, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She had spent her life surrounded by rules, obligations, and diplomacy. Her days were carefully planned, her emotions monitored, and her curiosity controlled. But Jace, he was different. Bold, honest, and unafraid to show his feelings. He had risked his life not just for her safety, but because he genuinely cared. I never expected today to turn out like this, she said softly, her voice almost lost in the hum of the city. Jace glanced at her, a small smile on his lips. Neither did I. But I'm glad it did. She looked down at her hands, the light from her glowing fingers reflecting in the puddles on the ground. I am confused. I do not know how to feel about this, about you, about humans. Everything is different. You act openly, yet thoughtfully. You are bold, yet careful in ways I did not expect. Jace reached out gently and took her hand. The touch was soft, respectful, yet filled with warmth. Lyria looked at him, surprised by the simplicity and honesty of the gesture. She felt a strange comfort in his human touch, as if it connected her to something she had never known before. I know it's confusing, Jace said quietly. I don't expect you to understand everything right away. I just want to be honest with you. I like you, Lyria. I respect you. And I want to see where this goes, if you'll let me. Her glowing eyes widened slightly. She had never heard words like these before, spoken so openly by someone from another species. Her culture valued subtlety, restraint, and observation. But Jace's human way of expressing feelings was different, direct, sincere, and filled with courage. You speak differently from my people, she admitted. We use words carefully. We act with caution. But your honesty, it is refreshing. I feel drawn to you, Captain Jace, That is not something I expected to feel for a human. But I do. Jace's chest tightened. Her words were more than he had hoped for. Not a complete answer to his question, not a yes, but a start, a spark of connection that promised something more. I feel the same, he said softly. I've never met anyone like you, Lyria. You're intelligent, brave, and fascinating. I respect your ways, and I want to learn more. I want to understand you, just like you try to understand me. For a moment, they walked in silence, side by side. The city lights reflected in puddles and shimmered off her skin, making her glow even brighter. Jace felt a thrill of anticipation, a quiet hope that their connection was growing stronger. I have never felt this way before, Lyria admitted after a long pause. I have always followed rules, observed, and kept my feelings in check. But with you, I feel something different, something I cannot control easily. Feelings aren't always easy to control, Jace said gently. That's why they're important. They tell us who we are, what we want, and what we care about. Lyria's eyes softened. You speak wisely for a human. Your kind is remarkable. I did not expect to meet someone who could match my thoughts and curiosity so closely. Most humans are unpredictable, but you are different. Jace chuckled softly. I'll take that as a compliment. She smiled faintly, a rare and beautiful expression. It is, and I am curious. I want to know more about you, Captain Jace. Not just your courage, but your thoughts, your dreams, and your spirit. That is something my people rarely share with outsiders, yet I feel safe with you. Jace felt a warmth in his chest. Safety, trust, curiosity. These were more than feelings. They were a connection that could bridge species, cultures, and worlds. And I want to know more about you, he said. Your culture, your life, and what makes you Lyria. I want to understand you, not just admire you from afar. Her glowing eyes met his. You are bold, Captain Jace, to speak so openly, to risk your heart even with someone from another world. It is unusual, and it makes me trust you even more. Jace smiled, feeling a thrill of anticipation. The question he had asked days ago, the one about a kiss, lingered in the air between them. He knew the answer was not simple, not yet. But the trust, curiosity, and connection they had built gave him hope. Lyria, he said softly, I don't want to rush anything, but I want to be honest. I want to be close to you, in whatever way you're comfortable with. I'm willing to wait, to understand, to earn your trust. That's how much you mean to me. For a moment, Lyria was silent. Her glowing eyes flickered as she considered his words. Finally, she spoke, her voice steady but soft. Captain Jace, you are unlike any human I have ever met. Brave, honest, and kind. You make me curious about myself, about what I feel, and that is rare. Very rare. Jace felt his heart soar. Her words were not a final answer, but they were more than he had hoped for. They were a promise of connection, of trust, and of something new and exciting. Then let us continue, he said quietly. Step by step, adventure by adventure. We'll learn about each other, and maybe, one day, we'll know the answer to that question together. Lyria's lips curved in a faint, enigmatic smile. Perhaps, she said softly. Perhaps we will. As they walked side by side through the quiet streets of the safe zone, both felt a new sense of anticipation. Danger, curiosity, and courage had brought them together, and now something more delicate and powerful was growing between them. For the first time, both realized that connection was not just about gestures, but about trust, understanding, and the courage to face uncertainty together. And somewhere deep inside, both knew that the moment of truth, the answer to that bold question, was drawing closer, just beyond the horizon. The night sky above the city glimmered with stars and distant moons. The safe zone was quiet now, the chaos of the mercenary attack long behind them. Captain Jace and Lyria walked slowly through the streets, side by side, their steps unhurried. The tension of the past day had faded, replaced by a delicate calm. Jace glanced at Lyria, her glowing eyes reflecting the starlight. He felt a quiet nervousness settle in his chest. He had asked her a bold question days ago, and now, after danger, trust, and shared moments, the moment for her answer felt close. "Lyria," he began softly, "I've waited for this, not in impatience but in hope. We've faced danger together, learned about each other, and built trust. And now, I want to know. How would you react if I kissed you?" For a moment, Lyria did not speak. Her amber eyes shimmered with thought, reflecting not just starlight, but careful consideration. She had thought about this question countless times since the day Jace first asked. Her people had rules about gestures of trust and affection, and yet something about him, his honesty, his bravery, his respect, made her question those rules. "You are brave to ask this," she said finally, her voice soft. "And I am curious. I have considered your words, your actions, your spirit. I feel trust. I feel connection. My people do not act lightly, but I sense honesty in you, Captain Jace. I sense courage, and that makes me willing." Jace's heart raced. He stepped closer, giving her a moment to back away if she wished, but she did not. Instead, she met his gaze fully, her expression calm, yet filled with something deeper. Then, he whispered, his voice trembling slightly with anticipation. "May I?" Lyria's lips curved in a faint, enigmatic smile. "Yes, you may." Time seemed to slow. Jace reached out gently, his hand brushing against hers, a final gesture of care and respect. He leaned closer, and she did not move away. Her glowing eyes held his, reflecting trust, curiosity, and a quiet courage. Their lips met. It was not rushed or forceful, but soft and deliberate. The moment carried meaning, caution, curiosity, trust, and honesty all wrapped into one. Jace felt a warmth spread through him, a connection unlike anything he had ever experienced. Lyria's touch was delicate yet firm, a reflection of her strength and elegance. The kiss ended slowly, naturally, leaving both breathless. Lyria's eyes glowed faintly as she stepped back slightly, still close enough to feel the energy between them. "You are human," she said softly, her voice carrying awe and amusement. "Bold, honest, and unpredictable. And yet, somehow, perfect in your simplicity." Jace laughed quietly, feeling relief and joy flood through him. "And you, Lyria, are incredible, brave, intelligent, and amazing. I never expected this, but I'm glad it happened. I've never felt anything like it before." She tilted her head, studying him. "I did not expect to feel this way either. But your courage, your honesty, your willingness to wait and understand, it changed everything. It made me trust you. It made me curious in a way I have never felt." They stood there under the stars, hands still lightly touching, feeling the bond between them grow stronger. Danger had brought them together, but trust, honesty, and connection had kept them close. The kiss was more than a gesture. It was a promise, an acknowledgement of what they had shared and what they could build together. Jace smiled softly. "So, what happens now?" Lyria's eyes glowed with warmth. "Now, we continue, step by step, adventure by adventure. We learn about each other, grow together, and see where this connection leads. But for now, she leaned slightly closer, resting her forehead against his. We savor this moment. The trust, the curiosity, the courage that brought us here. Jace nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. For so long he had traveled the galaxy, facing danger and uncertainty alone. But now, he had someone who understood him, who trusted him, and who had opened herself to him despite differences of species, culture, and experience. Agreed, he whispered. This moment is ours, and whatever comes next, we face it together. They walked slowly through the quiet streets, their hands intertwined. Lyria's glow illuminated their path, a soft, steady light that matched the warmth spreading through Jace's heart. Around them, the city was calm, the danger past, and the stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the connection between human and alien. For the first time in a long journey, Jace felt truly alive, not just brave, but understood. And for Lyria, she realized that humans were more than unpredictable beings. They were capable of courage, honesty, and connection that transcended species. And this human, standing beside her, had shown her all of it. As they reached the edge of the safe zone, they paused. Jace looked at her, his eyes full of quiet affection. Lyria, thank you. For trust, for courage, for this, everything. She smiled, her glowing eyes soft and full of warmth. And thank you, Captain Jace, for honesty, for bravery, and for being human in a way that truly matters. The night stretched ahead of them, filled with stars, possibilities, and the quiet promise of new adventures. Danger had tested them, curiosity had guided them, and trust had bound them together. And somewhere deep in both of them, a quiet thought lingered. This was only the beginning, because when humans and aliens meet, honesty, courage, and curiosity can create something stronger than any barrier in the galaxy. And for Jace and Lyria, that connection had already changed everything. As they walked hand in hand into the night, their hearts were aligned, their spirits intertwined, and their story, full of adventure, trust, and curiosity, had just begun.